Good morning, everyone. Before we start, I have something really important to say about profit. Profit has often been seen as a dirty word. We can all recall the headlines of big businesses making big profits so that fat cat executives can take home huge bonuses. Profit has often been associated with greed, with excess, and with decisions that harm both people and the planet. At WOW, we believe there is another way. We believe that business can be beautiful. We believe that doing the right thing gets results. And we believe that having a clear purpose and standing up for that purpose is the key to building a beautiful and sustainable business, one that we can be immensely proud of. It's also a huge amount of fun. Now, I want to make one thing absolutely clear. The purpose of a business is not to make profit. The purpose of a business is to achieve something, to contribute to society in a positive way, to make change that makes the world a better place, things that we are striving for every single day. So where does profitability sit in this vision for beautiful business? I believe it sits right at the very heart of it. Whatever cause you are championing, whatever positive change you want to make, you will not get very far without profit. Profit is the fuel for our journey. And today I will show you how to ensure your tank is always full. Let's get started. So hopefully this is another stepping stone on your journey of profitability. My journey with this started 16.5 years ago, when I got a phone call from my business partner, Paul, who said, I've got an idea. That idea was WOW. WOW has now grown since 2004 to become the leading accountant for agencies across the UK. We work with hundreds of them, typically between 5 and 75 staff. And we absolutely love helping to make your agencies more beautiful, more profitable, and more sustainable on your journey. Now, when Paul and I set up the business, we didn't talk about how we were going to do sets of accounts. Anyone can crunch the numbers. We talked about how business should be beautiful, how we could make businesses even more beautiful. And we started to talk about this more and more over the years. More recently, we've codified it and we share our vision, our manifesto for beautiful businesses via that link. If you would like your copy, please click on that link and you will be able to see our 6 pillars for what will make your business even more beautiful than it is already. It's a wonderful piece of work and I'm so proud to be able to share that with everyone. I know it's inspired many of you watching this already. Now, that journey of helping businesses to be more profitable and sustainable, and that journey of focusing on agencies has taken us to some great places. We noticed that our clients kept coming to us with the same challenges and we wanted to solve those challenges in a really cool way. So we set up the Agency Collective. It is an incredible community, the world's best peer support community for agency owners. We've got nearly 600 agency owners in that community now who take the time to solve challenges together, to support each other, to inspire each other, to partner together to make their agencies a better place. If you're not a member of the AC, then please check it out. You'll see some of the testimonials online. It's been transformational over the last 7 years, and particularly in the last 12 months. When the going has got tough, our community has come together. Something else that's given me so much joy over the last nearly a decade now has been my work with Bench Press. We started benchmarking agencies nearly 10 years ago with a really tiny report, and that tiny report has grown to become the largest survey of independent agencies in the UK. And next year, in 2021, we are going global with Bench Press, which is incredibly exciting. Not only will you be able to compare yourself to your peers here in the UK, but you'll be able to compare yourself globally. As well as going global, we're also going local. Next year, we'll be splitting Bench Press, as well as we have done into over and under 1 million, we'll be splitting it out regionally. So you'll be able to compare your performance regionally. This is incredibly exciting for a bit of a data geek like me, and incredibly exciting for you too, because it's going to mean you're going to have more insights to help you grow your agency. Now, throughout all of this, a thread running through all of the work that I've done, has been this philosophy of helping you build an agency that is profitable and sustainable. This all starts with mindset. But before I talk about mindset, I want to talk about concept versus action, because a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today, a lot of the concepts I'm going to share with you today are things that maybe you've heard before, maybe you've even heard me talk about before. And yet I'm still amazed at how few agencies are really taking action to the fullest extent here. And I guess I'm not surprised really, because I found myself doing exactly the same thing just a month ago. I was talking about one of the concepts, one of my favorite concepts, which I'll share later on in the presentation today, to a group of agencies. And I suddenly found myself thinking, oh my goodness, we're not doing this. We're not doing the thing that I am telling everyone here to do, the thing that I've been telling everyone here to do for the last 16 and a half years. I had not taken the action that I'd needed to. I'd forgotten to take the action that I'd needed to in my own business. And I guess the challenge for you today is to think, what actions have you forgotten to take? What actions, new actions, can you be inspired to take to make your agency a better place? Now, this all starts with mindset. And one of the key mindset shifts we want to help us all get into when it comes to profitability is thinking longer term. It's absolutely essential we take a long-term view, especially after a year where we've spent so much time taking a short-term view, making decisions that we will come to fruition next week, having to scramble and really think hard about how we can navigate our businesses through really challenging times. Now is a wonderful opportunity to lift our heads up, to look further afield, and to plant seeds that we'll be really, really glad that we did in 3 years' time. I want to help us all create a beautiful business. And to do that, we have to think longer term. When doing that, a wonderful thing that you can do is to create a profit forecast. Now, there's no easy way to jazz this up. A profit forecast is a spreadsheet. It has rows and columns, and along the columns are the months of the year, and your rows are your sales and your expenses. But let's just share with you a little bit about what the top performing agencies do when it comes to their profit forecasts. First of all, they look 3 years out. And the reason that that's important is because it detaches you from your current challenges. If you're just looking a year ahead, you're highly likely to just take a linear approach. You'll take what you do now and you'll add a percentage onto it. You won't really detach yourself from your current situation. Looking 3 years out is a perfect time frame to do that. It's far enough away that you can dare to dream. You can start to think about some of the things that you want to change, but it's not too far away that you feel it's out of reach. It's close enough to touch. It is only 12 quarters away. So think about that. It is only 12 quarters away. So it's close enough for you to take action. And when you're looking at your 3-year vision, I want you to start with profit first. What is the amount of profit that you want to be making at that point to give you a sustainable business? And then go into detail, split out your sales, split them out into maybe new and existing customers, and work back to your pipeline value. So think about whatever sales value you need to have, work out based on your average value of projects, your conversion rate, how many opportunities you need to have each month. Make sure that you're building the infrastructure so that your targets are realistic. Someone sent me their profit forecast. They said, I've got one of these. I don't need one. I've got it covered. I've got it for the next 3 years. And I said, great, let me take a look. So I took a look. And what I saw on there was 2021. It just had £150,000 a month for a sales target every month for 12 months. 2022, it had £200,000 a month every month for 12 months. 2023, it had £250,000 a month every month for 12 months. You get the idea. There was no thought gone into these numbers. They had simply picked a figure out of the air, divided it by 12, and worked it way across. That's not how to do this. Start with profit first, and then work out all of the costs that you need to keep yourself within in order to achieve that profit. And then think about the sales and how they're going to be broken up. What sales are going to come from which key clients? How much new business are you going to need to win? The detail is what matters here. It will never work out exactly as you plan, but by forcing yourself to stop and think, that will give you an incredible advantage over those that are just plowing on. And plowing on is our default position, right? We've been doing this since we set up our businesses. I remember what that feels like, that feeling of having nothing, no clients, no clue. And you're just on a wing and a prayer, hoping and working your backside off to try and make this dream a reality. And you work and you work and you work. And the danger is you just keep working and you don't stop and think. Stop and think about the business and what's going to really help you. And when you're going into detail on your profit forecast, a key metric to keep an eye on is your gross profit percentage, making sure that that percentage is in excess of 50%. I promised you I'd share with you the one metric that is critical to your success. This is it. This is a metric to keep an eye on like a hawk. It's absolutely critical to the profitability and sustainability of your agency. And there's a special way to calculate it, one that not enough agencies are doing. Here's what it looks like. Your gross profit percentage is calculated like this. You start off with your turnover and you remove all of your recharge costs. So anything that you recharge onto clients, things like ad spend, print spend, any travel expenditure, anything that gets recharged to clients gets taken off your turnover, and that gives you your fee income. Now, for a lot of agencies, your fee income may well equal your turnover if you don't have any recharged costs. What you then do is you take that fee income and you remove some other costs from it. So the first cost that you're going to remove are all of your chargeable wages. So this isn't just wages, by the way, it's the wages, it's the pension contributions, it's the national insurance contributions, everything, all of the costs associated with your team that are engaged in chargeable work for clients. Now, if you have people that spend some of their time doing chargeable work and some of their time doing other things within the business, then you work out the percentage that they spend on those chargeable activities, and that's the amount of their wages that gets put into this pot. And if you have any managers that, again, are managing chargeable people, even though they might not be directly engaged in client work, actually doing the work, if they're managing a bunch of chargeable people, then they should be counted under this bracket of chargeable wages, and that gets removed from fee income. You'll also want to remove all of your freelancer costs, because these guys are definitely engaged in chargeable work. And the next thing you need to remove is this. Now, it's a market rate for you and the work that you do. And this is calculated pro rata. And in my view, I think it's really important that you do that, because if you don't, you're kind of cheating a little bit. Let's say you spend 50% of your time on chargeable work and you have a market rate of £100,000. That's £50,000 worth of costs that need to be accounted for in calculating your gross profit. And that 50,000 might affect the percentage by a little bit if you've got 1 or 2 million worth of costs. But if you've got, say, $250,000 of costs, that 50,000, if you don't count it, you're cheating. You're not getting a true picture for your gross profit. So it's really important that even though it might not appear in the same bracket in your accounts as your chargeable wages, that it's accounted for in your gross profit. And by doing it this way, it allows you to, small agencies to compare themselves to large agencies. It allows agencies that where the owners and founders are spending a lot of time on client work, allows you to compare yourself to those that aren't. It gives a level playing field for the calculation of gross profit. Now, what we then do is take that gross profit figure, we divide it by fee income, not by turnover. It's really important that you divide it by fee income. And the reason for that is it allows agencies that have high recharge costs to compare themselves to those agencies that don't. So previously, when looking at gross profit percentage, let's say, for example, a creative agency found it very difficult to compare themselves to a pay-per-click agency because of all those recharge costs. Now, by doing it this way, this gives you a level playing field, and you can truly compare yourself like for like against any agency in the land. And that's the exciting thing about this particular way of calculating gross profit percentage. And once you've got that figure, you times it by 100, and there it is, your gross profit percentage. And as I said, you should aim for a percentage of 50% or more. The average for agencies in the UK is 44%. And if you're sat there feeling smug that you're above that, or even if you're above 50, I'm going to let you into another little secret. I've been benchmarking consultants as well as agencies, and consultants are much better at making gross profit than agencies. In fact, whether it's for agencies, the average is 44%. For consultants, the average is 55%. So I challenge you all to not just go to 50% for your gross profit percentage, but to go higher, because there are people out there that are doing it. Now, what you will find is this is just the starting point. I want to take you on a journey with this. I want you to go deeper. And the next step on this is not just to work out your gross profit percentage for the whole business. It's to work it out by department, work it out by all the different services that you offer. And there's a really neat way to do that in Xero. So go over to your accounting system, and I'm going to show you Wow's chart of accounts and exactly how we do it, exactly how we calculate our gross profit by department, and how you can do it too. So what our Xero looks like, at the top, we have all of our sales codes. And you'll notice here that these are split into all the services that we offer: accountancy, bookkeeping, tax, company secretarial, everything, basically. R&D's in there. Everything that we do is listed there. And all of the sales go into those particular buckets. And what we then do is have cost of sales codes associated with every single one of those sales codes. So all of the staff costs, all of the recharge costs that we have, any of the freelancer costs that we have, go into those particular buckets. And what that allows us to do is, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen in Xero, you have this magic button, the export button. It allows you to export to Excel or Google Sheets and do your own calculations. And from that, you can work out gross profit percentage by department. And this is incredibly powerful, because you can work out where you are making money and where you are not. And once you see these figures, you cannot unsee them. It will force you to make decisions that you really perhaps should have been making long ago. And armed with this information, it will give you the power to transform your profitability and do more of the things that are highly profitable and less of the things that are not. That is why it's really important that you pay very, very close attention to your gross profit percentage. It's a really good metric to look at quarterly and make decisions off the back of it. Now, part of that journey, a critical part of that journey to increasing your profitability, will be working out what your high value offering is. So, first of all, just the definition of a higher value offering. It's something that clients value disproportionately highly against the cost of you delivering it. The clients value disproportionately highly to the cost of you delivering it. And some clues as to what this might be. This could be a strategic service that you offer. I think one of the most undervalued bits of work that we all do in our businesses is the thought. I see so many agency owners giving this away, literally giving this away. It's the most powerful bit, it's the most valuable bit, and it should be charged accordingly. I remember chatting to a client of ours that runs a video production agency, and they ran a good video production agency. We're just over $1 million turnover. And they spotted, this was a couple of years ago, they spotted that things were becoming a little bit more commoditized and briefs were becoming a little bit tighter, budgets were becoming tighter. What they did, they decided to do was that they wanted to become more strategic, and they wanted to get paid for that strategic thought and owning the content strategy. So they changed a couple of things on their website, and they changed what they were talking about. Instead of talking about how they delivered video, they talked about content strategy. They ran events on content strategy. And it took less than 3 months for them to start getting briefs on content strategy. And suddenly they owned the whole piece of the pie. Instead of just being the video production company getting squeezed, getting that last bit of the budget, they were involved in the strategic decision making and were able to charge accordingly. That piece was highly valuable. What piece of work are you doing that is highly valuable that you're not charging for? Now, it might be strategic or it might be technical. It might be something that you've worked very, very hard at acquiring some skills at and training your team and hiring the best people. And you've got very, very focused on a particular technical area that creates a barrier for entry that's hard for others to replicate. Well, all that hard work needs to be rewarded. Perhaps an element of that, or the highly technical element of that, is something that could be your high value offering, something that you're not charging enough for. ultimately the position we want to get to. And if you've heard my webinars before, you will know that I'm a massive fan of this. I want to help us all be the best in the world at something. All of us, every single one of us listening to this. What can we be the best in the world at? That's my challenge to you, to get thinking about, to go on this never-ending journey to achieve. And then as part of that, you're going to have to think about how you can get niche, get really niche in what you're doing. Again, this isn't a new concept. I've been talking about this for years. And the reason I've been talking about this for years is because I've seen the data. The data has told me every single year that those agencies that focus on a niche make more profit and grow quicker than those that don't. And I guess what's been really interesting about COVID is a lot of people have challenged this and said, well, surely if you are in the hospitality niche or the travel and tourism niche, then surely that's not a good idea. And obviously, right now, those businesses will be hurting. But as we emerge from this, and by the way, I've seen some businesses pivoting brilliantly. We've got an interview with one coming up before the end of the year that used to focus on the hospitality sector and pivoted to focus on building websites for I think it was Amazon products. So really, really interesting online shops. They pivoted their business to adapt to the changing times. But what was interesting is they pivoted to another niche. They didn't just become generalist. And as we emerge from this, the agencies that are going to win are those that focus, really, really, really focus on their high value offering. They know what they're good at. The generalists will just get general results. Don't be one of those. Get niche, get focused, and focus on your profit sweet spot. Again, one of my favorite topics that I love challenging you all on. And I want to just take you through in a bit more detail what your profit sweet spot might look like. Now, this is a size of project or a type of project that where you make disproportionately large amounts of profit. So in terms of size of project, our research shows that traditionally, or generally, I should say, agencies that work on larger projects make larger amounts of money. And we noticed amongst the top 10% by profitability, they are way more likely to have completed a project in excess of $250,000 and way more likely to have a higher threshold in terms of minimum project value than the rest. And the reason is you know, a £250,000 project is not 10 times the work of a 25 grand project. However, a little caveat to that, and it was a story told beautifully by someone I chatted to a few years ago, an agency, and they told me that their profit sweet spot was a combination of size and type of project. And what they discovered is actually the larger projects for them were a bit of a pickle. And they learned this out the hard way, and many of you listening to this have been there as well. They took on a project that was beyond their capability, that was too technically complex, and it nearly broke them, it nearly sent them bust. And I've seen agencies that have done that and it has sent them bust, and it's heartbreaking when that happens. But they learned their lesson and they learned it just in time. And they worked out that their profit sweet spot was really simple. The type of project was a digital transformation project. The size of project was 20 to 50 grand. Anything smaller just wasn't worth the hassle. Anything bigger was too complex. They got absolutely brilliant at delivering those types of projects, world-class delivery, and highly, highly profitable, really, really slick. What is your profit sweet spot? Now, it might be the repeatability of the project that is the thing that determines the profitability. I hear more and more agencies say, look, God, that first project is so draining, isn't it? You know, you've got to build all the relationships, understand their business, you know, find new ways of working. It's only the second, the third, the fourth project that it really starts to get profitable. So if you find yourself in that category, how can you build in repeatability into what you do? Maybe it is using retainers. Maybe it is using technology. I see more and more agencies using technology to give them that repeatability, to give them the opportunity to go back to clients again and again and talk about how they can help them with their marketing. And when it comes to technology, I've seen loads of agencies get involved with MailChimp. And over the last 12 months, we've watched agencies using MailChimp as a tool, not just for their own agencies, but with their clients. And when MailChimp set up MailChimp & Co., which is their new partner program, we thought it was really cool. So we're going to be partnering with them over the next 12 months and hopefully beyond to spread the word about what they do. They have an incredible community and some amazing resources that will help you not only pick up more new clients for your business, but potentially offer email marketing to your clients to get that recurring revenue stream. And if you want to find out more about this, here is the link. Go to wowco.uk/MailChimp and find out all about the MailChimp & Co. partner program. It's really neat. Now, all of this strategizing, all of this profit forecasting and focusing on your high value offering doesn't matter a jot unless you get the culture right. And it's absolutely essential that we all commit, and that word is really important, that we commit to building a profitable and sustainable culture. And we do so in a conscious way. This isn't something that will happen by accident. You know, I learned this the hard way. Wow was 18 members of the team, and we were young, we were naive. We just thought culture would take care of itself. How wrong we were. And I went to a presentation, and I heard someone share the famous Peter Drucker quote, and I have not forgotten that moment. I sat there and I listened to someone say, culture will eat strategy for breakfast every time. And I remember it changed our world. We went back and commenced the program of real focus on our culture. And I'm so happy we did that. We have the most amazing team and the most amazing culture focused on helping agencies build beautiful businesses, but also ensuring that we are profitable and sustainable too. So where do we start with that? Now, it's really simple. You need to really, really look after your people. This presentation is about profitability, but your people will determine your profitability. It doesn't matter what you decide around the boardroom table. It's what's going on right now. I was going to say at our offices, but at our offices and in our homes, of all of our teams all around the world, we need to put our arms around them. We need to look after them, because these are the people that will determine the future of our businesses, the future of our agencies. So it's really important to be looking after our people. And I want you to just think about what more you could do this week, this month, this year to check in with them. I heard a lovely phrase from a documentary that I watched at the weekend, which I'll talk about more in a second, but it was a quote from a sports manager that said, you know, if I had my time again, I wish I'd spent more time looking after the person as well as the player, looking after the person as well as the player. And I love that quote. So making sure that you're looking after your people, the person who's at the end of that Zoom call. And then I want to challenge you all to help your team understand why profit is important. Why is it important to the business that things are profitable, that projects are profitable, and how individually they can impact it. You know, I was sharing this story at an event, and I received an email, I think it was quite quickly, well, it's a couple of months afterwards. And this agency owner ran, a reasonable sized agency. I think they were about 600,000 turnover, maybe about 10 staff. And he said, right, I took that point really seriously. And he said, I went back and I created a spreadsheet. And he said, we used to talk about how much time we overservice jobs by. But he said, what I did was I just changed that. And I took that and times it by 100, which was their hourly rate. And I had a big red number, huge red number, which was the amount of money that time had cost us. And he said that had a transformational impact on the team. He said, I didn't even need to say anything. I just shared that spreadsheet and said, look, last month we overspent by this amount. He said, instantly, they looked at their freelancer spend and went, well, crikey, why are we spending £5,000 a month on freelancers? They cut that down to £500 to only the technical freelancer they really needed. And they got really focused on that number. And it was that simple for them. In last year's benchmark report, or 2019 benchmark report, what year are we in now? 2020, sorry. In 2020's bench press report, we actually looked at this in a lot of detail. We wanted to understand what agency owners measure, how often and which bits do they communicate with their team. And we published that in the report. And if you've not seen the report, then get in touch with me. I'll send you a copy. But that was really, really interesting to see the extent to which agency owners are increasingly being open and transparent with their team. Now, just be careful when you do this, make sure that people understand the context. Don't just go sending them management accounts if they don't understand the context. What I love about what this agency owner did was he made it really clear and simple. Look, that's time equals money. And look what this is costing us. Like, no one wants to see a big red number there. So what can you do to help people understand that? And here's the biggest thing, right? When it comes to building a profitable culture, the biggest thing that you can do that will make a huge difference to not just your profitability, but to everyone's well-being is stop doing work for free. Stop it. Stop it right now. It does no one any favors. People think it does. People think that, when I'm over delivering for clients, I'm doing them a favor. They're going to love us for it. They don't. They won't, because they don't know you're doing it. They won't value it if you don't put a price on it. If you don't value your time, how do you expect your clients to? And this, I remember at one of the very first agency collective events, we had a debate, asked for a show of hands about whether people do work for free and whether people don't. And the room was split pretty much 50-50. And on both sides, there were really strong arguments. On one side, people were saying, well, look, if you don't do work for free for clients, how do you expect to build relationships? And the other side was saying, well, how do you expect to make any money? And I thought, well, I need to settle this argument in the only way I know how, not to have a big fight. That was tempting. It would have been very tempting and fun. But we decided instead to actually benchmark those two groups. And in the next year's survey, we asked the question, do you charge for things when things go out of scope? And what we discovered won't surprise you. Guess what? Those that charge for it made more money. And also, what we've also noticed is those that charge for it also have happier teams. And the reason for that is when you do work for free, there's sacrifices, right? You're going to have to work longer hours. Well, you're going to have to potentially cut corners. You're not around quite so much to help out your teammates because you're doing work for free. No one wins from that. And I think it's a really important point to make. And that simple concept can transform your culture and hopefully build a more profitable one. But it's not just about profitability, it's about sustainability. I talked about that 50% gross profit percentage. Most agencies sit between 40 and 60. Once you get above 60, it's quite hard to sustain the level of profitability. What's interesting is I've just benchmarked consultancies here in the UK, and their bracket is 50 to 70%, right? They make more gross profit, gross margin than agencies. And for those of you agencies listening to this, aspiring to be consultancies, well, look, can you get up to that 70% mark? That's a great place to be. Beyond that, it's just not sustainable. You're going to hurt your people. And the documentary I watched at the weekend was The Edge. It was a story of the England cricket's team rise to #1 in the world from pretty much being bottom of the world. We'd just been thrashed by the West Indies, and we had a new coach come in, Andy Flower. And he set a 2-year target to be #1 in the world. And, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but they went on this journey. They achieved it in 18 months. But then what happens next was really interesting. So you got a fascinating insight into the culture that took them there, but it wasn't sustainable. In no way was it sustainable. It broke them and left a lasting impact on them. And no price is worth paying that impact for. So what I encourage you to do is think about the sustainability of what it is that you are doing, and making sure that you are looking after your people and that you've got a sustainable level of profit so that everyone's well and happy and healthy. Sustainability isn't just about people, it's about the planet. And one of the things that we've done in the last 12 months that I'm so proud of is get involved with this amazing company, Ecology. So this is a company that is tackling the world's climate crisis head on by planting trees. They planted 4 million trees so far. And WOW started paying a small monthly amount 12 months ago to help plant trees too. So far, we've planted nearly 7,000 of them. I mean, not us personally, we get ecology to do it, but we have contributed to a removal of over 600 tons of carbon from the atmosphere, and our forest will continue to grow. If you want to go and check out a little bit more about ecology and how you can get involved in sustainability and helping save the planet, go to wowco.uk/ecology. It's put a smile on our faces every single month that we get their little newsletters through and seeing the amazing work that they've done and the amazing work that we've helped contribute to. So some quick wins for you now. So I've talked a lot about mindset, but I want to give you some quick wins. Everyone loves quick wins, right? Stuff that you can do tomorrow that will make a massive impact on your business. First up, right? If you want to increase profitability, when you are quoting, give 3 pricing options. Okay. So this is from a book by Blair Enns, and it's called Pricing Creativity. If you Google Pricing Creativity by Blair Enns, you will find this. Now, I read this book when it first came out, and I thought, this is amazing. And I shared it with a few agency owners who also bought it. And this was back in the spring. And I had the most brilliant summer getting text messages and WhatsApp messages from agency owners saying, oh my God, I used that 3 pricing options formula and it has transformed my business. One just kept sending me messages just with the amount that they had sold their particular leading offering for and what the new highest amount was. Something they used to sell for 10,000, they sold for 15, and then 20, and then 25, and then 30. And it kept going. I kept getting text messages saying, I've just sold it for £40,000. In one summer, he went from 10,000 to £40,000 simply by using this approach. And I'd love for you to use it too. So when you go onto the website, you'll see that Blair uses 3 pricing options, and you'll see that it's not priced like a normal book, but I promise you the investment will be worthwhile. Check it out. Now, I told this story recently about the 10 to 40,000, and someone challenged me on it. They said, well, surely that's just exploitation. You know, something that you sold for 10,000, you're now selling for 40. That's just ripping the client off. I promise you it's not. I would argue strongly that every time that client sold it for less than 40,000, he was massively underselling it, underselling himself and the value that he was giving that client. You know, he didn't force clients to do this. He didn't hold them over a barrel. You know, you could be, whatever it is that we do, there's always alternatives out there. And I think our job is to find out how much clients really value what it is that we do, the true value that we are adding, and not to sell ourselves short. That is the greatest crime, to sell ourselves short in life and in business. And using those 3 pricing options will ensure that that doesn't happen. A quick win for you. Now, another quick win for you. Another one of my favorite tips, transformational tips, so simple. Have the scope creep conversation up front. We should not pretend that scope creep isn't going to happen. It's going to happen. It's impossible to scope a project up front accurately when it's of any significant size, because the world changes and you'll come up with ideas, the client will come up with ideas, plus you have no idea how the relationship's actually going to work. So why not ask the client up front this simple question? How do you want to handle things when we go out of scope? How do you want to handle things when we go out of scope? No client is going to turn around to you and say, I want you to do the work for free. It's simply not going to happen. But that's what does happen when 48 hours before a deadline, things go out of scope and you're stressed, the client's stressed, and you bottle that conversation and think, do you know what, stuff it. I'll just do an all-nighter. I'll ask the team to work extra hours. We'll get it done. And you get it done and you do that work for free and you collapse exhausted and go, we're not doing that again. But then you do, and again and again. And it's in those moments that profit leaks out of our agencies. It leaks, it drips. I was running a really profitable project right up until that last week. So have the conversation up front. The client is most likely to say, okay, well, how do we handle it? Well, what's your escalation procedure? Who can sign it off? And is there a contingency budget? I see more and more agencies being really smart about this and saying, look, let's sign off 20% of the budget for the project as a contingency to use if we discover opportunities along the way. And then you're not having to crowbar things in, you can dip into that budget. More and more agencies are using agile approach and say, look, the project is going to be somewhere between 80 and 120,000, but let's take it in chunks. I can tell you the first chunk is going to cost 15,000 and we will clearly deliver this. But once you've delivered that first chunk, you can then move on to the second and the third, armed with the knowledge of everything you learned in the first stage of the project. So have the scope creep conversation up front. And then when you're in your projects, you need to get fanatical about reporting, the real detail. Like, this is what we love at WOW. We're accountants. We love getting fanatical about reporting, and I love you two too. Now, what does that look like? Well, first of all, there's an interesting quandary here, right? Because to get fanatical about the real details here, you're going to need to timesheet. You're going to need to ask your team to timesheet. And we saw in our research this year that more and more agencies are doing this. But this is the choice. You know, you don't have to timesheet. There's no rule that says you do. But if you don't, you'll be leaving that detail on the table. There's certain reports that you won't be able to produce. There's certain information you won't be able to get. And therefore, you'll be making decisions without the complete picture. So look, I completely understand if you choose not to do timesheets. Let's be honest, most people don't enjoy doing them. And if for cultural reasons you decide that's not your cup of tea, that's cool. But you have to accept that you will be operating with less detail than those agencies that do use timesheets. And those that do, you get to do some cool stuff. You get to do live project reporting, the holy grail. But it's not just being able to live project report, being able to see how you're performing mid-project that's important. It's what you do with that data. A client came to a really good agency, like well-known agency that's winning lots of awards, came to us and said, we're doing really well, but our profitability is not great. And I thought, well, I bet you're not doing live project reporting. So I had a little look and they were. They said, yeah, we produce these weekly reports to show us how we're doing. I thought, oh, crikey. I wonder why that's not working then. I said, well, what do you do with these reports? He said, well, we just email them out to the account directors. I said, well, why don't next time you hold a meeting and put those reports up on the big screen and talk through them with everyone? He said, okay, we'll do that. So the first meeting they had, they brought all the account directors together and said, right, here's the league table of projects and their profitability. And these are the ones that are ahead and these are the ones behind. And the account directors at the bottom of the league table squirmed a bit. And the second weekly meeting, the ones at the bottom of the table didn't want to be at the bottom of the table anymore. So they made sure that they were much more on track. And then the third week went by and then the penny dropped for everyone. No one wanted to be bottom of that league table. Everyone understood that it was their responsibility to ensure that projects ran on time and on budget and to have those conversations with clients. So that was the thing that transformed their business, not the reporting itself, but what they did with it that mattered. And my challenge to you is, well, how do you want to report on profitability? Can you currently split out profit by service offering, like I showed you earlier in Zero? Do you know which bits of your business are making money and which are not? Once you see this, you will not be able to unsee it. It has the potential to transform your business. I've got so many stories about this, but there's some of my favorite ones are those moments when agency owners, have two parts of the business. So let's say one doing web build and one doing SEO. And there was a time when we shared this information with a client and he looked at it and said, oh my goodness, the web business doesn't make any money, does it? And we said, no. Well, you're making all your money in SEO. Literally the web business was just broke even, but it was often a gateway to the SEO work. But that agency owner made a decision that day. He said, well, I'm only going to do web work if there's an SEO retainer off the back of it. It's as simple as that. Quite happy not to make money on the website if I know that it's going to lead to an ongoing retainer. But what seems pointless is to just deliver a website and clog up that team with work that isn't profitable. So that I thought was a really interesting insight. What insights are you missing out on by not being able to measure that? Do you know your profitability by client? Can you have a league table that shows me your profitability by client, not by revenue, but by profit? Can you even do it by individual in your business? Can you show me which members of your team are most profitable? That would be pretty cool, right? And when it comes to all of this, you're going to need to use software that your team will want to use, like actually want to use. And there's two pieces of software that I'm being really, really impressed with. So the first one is Streamtime. Streamtime has been around for a long, long time. But what I love about Streamtime is that they constantly innovate their product. I know what's coming up next year and I'm really excited for it, but I'm excited about what's in there right now. And I hear agencies raving about how you can manage projects in Streamtime, how you can manage diaries and tasks. It's really cool. So check out Streamtime. They've won a design awards for what it is that they do. It's so beautiful. The other product I've been really impressed with recently is Productive. These guys have something really clever going on with their reporting. They have a level of reporting I've not seen in a product that runs projects. So check out both of those, see which ones could work for you, but it could be the key to unlocking the profitability, unlocking the great reporting that we're all craving, the information we're all craving in order to produce accurate reports and make accurate decisions. Now, I said that there was something that I've been talking about for 16 years that I realized that we weren't doing our sales properly. And it was this asking for referrals. And it's such an obvious one, right? I'm not going to win awards for coming up with this idea. But what I hope to challenge you on is what I'm going to challenge myself on, which is, look, I guess we sort of shied away from asking for referrals at WOW because, I don't know, maybe we were trying to come up with the perfect referral scheme and to make it all perfect and wonderful. When actually you don't need to do that. I mean, that's nice. You know, I've seen some great strategies for getting your team involved with this and creating templates and embedding it in your culture. And look, that's the holy grail. And I've seen some people do that brilliantly well. But what you can do this right now, in fact, immediately after this, you can phone up your top 3 clients and say, hey, how's it going? Can I ask you a favor, please? And you can ask them to refer you to someone else of influence that you could help. You know that thing I did for you? That was great, right? Who else do you know that could take advantage of that we could help? And to help them go through the filing cabinet in their head, rather than saying like, who else do you know? You can say, look, it might be a company you worked at before. It might be one of your partners that you're working with. It might be someone that works in the same office as you, but help them go through the filing cabinet in their head of people that you could help. Asking for referrals is absolutely key. You can engage your team in this and have a fun little competition and say, hey guys, for the first 10 referrals from the team that are generated, we're going to award these little cool fun prizes before Christmas. This is something that you can do right now, whilst you also start to think about how you can build a referral program so that this just happens automatically. A really simple tip. Another simple tip. Gosh, this is an opportunity right underneath our noses. Sometimes I ask people to rate themselves out of 10 for the various things that I'm talking about to help you work out where the priorities are. This one, you are not allowed to put yourself 10 out of 10. None of us are making the most of this, right? I chatted to an agency owner who's a dear friend, become a dear friend, and we chatted right at the start of lockdown, and she said to me, oh my God, I've done something I've been meaning to do for ages. I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't do it earlier. But she said, I've just formed like a cool little innovation team. I take one person from each department, I take an account manager, and they sit down every Friday and they come up with ideas and we pitch those to existing customers. She said, it's so obvious. I've been meaning to do it for ages. We've just been too busy, but lockdowns come. We need some work and new business is really tough. So let's go to our existing customers. And this is a habit that will never go away now. It will stick. I'd love for you to get into that habit too. There are opportunities right underneath our noses. Some of you are working with clients that you could spend a lifetime in, right? And farm for the rest of the days and still not touch the side. So think about your key accounts and come up with account plans and start having conversations about how you can expand them. I could literally talk about this all day. I don't have time, but hopefully you can find the time to start that conversation yourself and start coming up with those account plans. Now, I promised you at the start of this that I was going to change the way you think about profit forever. And I hope that I've done that. I hope you can now see that profit sits right at the heart of you building a beautiful and sustainable agency, right at the heart of it. But this isn't just a one fix solution. We need to be thinking about profit regularly and getting into that habit. So what we want to do at WOW is help you on that journey. And we've created some amazing resources that you can access right now. If you go to wowco.uk/profit, you'll be able to see a load of interviews with agency owners. You'll be able to see some profit benchmarks, some pricing benchmarks. There's some incredible resources to help you on your journey. What else is going to help you on your journey is if you work with us. We love helping agencies to make more profit. And we've created an agency profit review that does just that. This is something that looks at your profitability either every year, every 6 months, or every quarter. So you get that regular boost. And we take a strategic look at the numbers. We will benchmark you against top performing agencies and identify and prioritize the opportunities for you to increase profit. Ultimately, and we do this every time, it's the most fun thing that we do, we boost your profit. And that always puts a smile on people's faces. So if you think that that could be something you'd be interested in, by the way, you don't even need to change accountant to do this. You know, more and more we're working with people who say, look, my accountant's my brother-in-law. I love working with him. But like, if you could just come in once a quarter and help me with this stuff and inject some of that profitability focus into my business, then I'd be really happy. And that's what we do. So if you're interested in that, drop Rory an email, rory.spence@thewowcompany.com. For those of you who don't know Rory's been with WOW for 7 years now and has spoken to hundreds of agencies in that time. You know, I went to Rory yesterday because he ran an event for our clients yesterday to get some insight into what's going on in people's heads at the moment. So if you want some of that insight too, Rory's a great person to chat to. Drop him a line and he'll give you some more clues as to how you can unlock the profit in your business.